I really wanted to tap into and like make the best of my Vancouver Island new life. My little curious brain really wanted to understand more where I live. And so today I am at the Royal BC Museum. We're gonna learn all about some history. I did already go to the library and check out a couple books. There was so much stuff that I'd forgotten since I was a kid. And so I'm really looking forward to figuring out what Vancouver Island is all about. How did it come to be? The Hudson's Bay. I know that they're gonna be a huge player in that. For the Americanos who don't know what Hudson's Bay is, in modern day 2025, it would be your equivalent of a Macy's, but Hudson's Bay was actually a fur trading organization that's been around for like 350 years. It's the oldest corporation in North America. For better or worse, were instrumental in, I guess I wanted to say colonizing Canada, but I don't really know if that's true, but kind of. We'll see. So let's go check out the museum. I'm hoping it's beautiful. I've never been here before. And like, let's learn all about Vancouver Island, British Columbia, some heritage, so we can like really tap in and start the year off right. You know what I mean? Other than the one hunter's lodge, I haven't seen anything on the Indigenous people. Where is it? Where's the history? It's okay, it's a good thing I went to the library and read some books, because I'm about to educate us on the way home here in the car. We're gonna have to do a little car chat, our favorite. I feel like the museum just jumped to the 1900s. Maybe I missed something, so I'm going to circle back to look for more. But where are the original Indigenous people that lived on the land for 10,000 years before, oh, I don't know, the Brits arrived? And the Brits then imported the Scottish. There's no mention of this. I'm really surprised. We're missing so much. And everywhere we go is just a sort of, I don't know how you say it, a virtue signaling plaque saying, we respect the lands that we stole. We respect the lands that we stole. Yeah, the lands were stolen. But show me that history. Show me how you stole it. It's a little bit disappointing. I mean, Stalin and Hitler would be jealous of what actually went down in terms of the foundation of Canada, which then, of course, leads to the foundation of British Columbia, and then, of course, Vancouver Island. You don't see any of that in this museum. It's incredibly interesting. I don't really know what to say about all that. We should be holding space. Show me what we did. Show me. What happened to the Royal Museum? It's kind of a bust, because the most important part for me was the original sort of history. So I'm now actually standing in front of our Parliament building in Victoria. So before Canada was even a country, in 1670, Prince Charles, no, that's a lie, King Charles II decided that he was just going to give a bunch of land to his cousin, Prince Rupert, because why not? Canada was just like a no man's land. It was just this wild, gorgeous, incredibly pregnant with resources land. At the time, both the English and the French were kind of in Eastern Canada, and they were kind of battling it out for like who's gonna have what. And long story short, is two French dudes discovered that there could be an alternate trading route. So beaver pelts was like the most lucrative thing that Canada was producing at the time, one of the most lucrative things. And they went to the French king and they were like, yo, we found a new trading route, we should do something with it. And what the king did is he actually ended up punishing these two guys for illegal trading. He was like, you don't have a permit, you're not allowed to be doing that, so he punished them. So the two French guys were like, well, you can go f yourself. For sure. And they went to the English king, King Charles II. And they said, yo, we found a new trading route. It's on this huge bay, this huge ocean bay up in the north of Canada. It's amazing because now we can bypass all of the land and we can just directly bring the ships in and do import-export, mostly export. I mean, Canada wasn't importing shit at that time. It was called Hudson's Bay. I don't know for sure, but whenever I look at a map, I'm pretty sure it's one of the biggest bays in the world. It's gigantic. The shoreline alone we're talking about is insane. This was a land that the king had never been to. He had no idea what it was. He just circled it on a map and handed it over to his cousin. The way that he did it is that he created a royal charter, which is essentially a private business called the Hudson's Bay Company. Now, the Hudson's Bay, for Canadians, it's a massive department store. Everybody knows the Hudson's Bay blanket with the stripes, but it has deep historical roots. So the Hudson's Bay Company, owned by Prince Rupert, the King Charles II's cousin, again, a private company made via a royal charter, which basically gave them the God-given power of the crown. They now also can create their own laws, come up with their own currency, and even run their own army. They started using the local Indigenous people to bring all of their beaver pelts to them so that they could then trade them and bring them overseas back to Europe, which was super high fashion. It was kind of like the Hunger Games. Britain, London, they were the capital, and all of Canada basically represented every other district. Interestingly enough, Vancouver Island becomes District 12. So the Hudson's Bay Company for 200 years just rapes and pillages the land. Because not only are they a corporation, they're also the lawmakers, and so you weren't allowed to trade your beaver pelt to anybody else without getting in beaucoup trouble. They didn't actually want the Indigenous people to understand currency or to even know what was going on. So they never traded in British pounds. They ended up, because they could, via the Royal Charter, had the rights of God, to make their own currency. So they made the Made Beaver, the NB, which basically told the Indigenous people, you are going to trade X amount of beaver pelts and we will give you, ready for it, the Hudson's Bay Blanket. And so to this day, you can see the Hudson's Bay Blanket has these black notches on the side, and each notch, it's not actually something for style. It was to tell the Indigenous people how many beaver pelts it required to trade for that quality of a blanket. To put this into sort of context and in terms of the value, this means that the Hudson's Bay Company came in, they didn't own the land, but they just said, I'm the captain now. They took the land and they started taking all of the resources. They then took all those beaver pelts and sold them back to Europe for gold. And then they would pay the Indigenous people with wool. That's like saying, I'm gonna hand you my iPhone, and in return, you're not gonna give me 2, but 1 wool fucking sock. If you were to stack all of the beaver pelts that the Hudson's Bay Company stole or took or whatever from the Indigenous people and the Canadian land, the pile would go from where I'm standing now into space. The beavers virtually went extinct. So essentially, the Hudson's Bay Company became a shell company for the British royal family. This would be a good time to mention that the British royal family was actually German. And if you don't believe me, just a simple Google search would suffice, because it'll tell you that it was just a PR stunt to change their last name to Windsor. That's a separate video. The Hudson's Bay Company was a shell company so that the royal family could take all the land, not have to pay for it, rape and pillage and drain all of the resources, pay almost next to nothing back for those resources, a whopping wool blanket, whoopity fucking do, while they made, ready for this, billions of dollars. And because the Hudson's Bay Company was a private company, a private royal charter, they didn't actually have to make any of their records public. To this day, it's a little bit like, wait, how much money did they make? What did they do? What laws did they make? And meanwhile, none of the money is being poured back into Canada. All of the money was being funneled back to England. And the reason why they didn't want to funnel the money back into Canada was because, 1, Canada was not yet a nation. And 2, they didn't want to colonize, meaning they didn't want to have towns, they didn't want to have roads, because all of that would scare away the beavers, which was their #1 commodity. And the fact that even today they're charging $500 for a wool blanket that costs them $30 to make. I won't be buying a Hudson's Bay blanket anytime soon. But the crazy thing is like, if I think about it, if I was Prince Rupert and my royal cousin just gifted me a piece of land the size of India and said, do what you want with it, I might have done the same thing. I'd like to say that I hopefully would have been working much more in partnership with the Indigenous people and not just exploiting them left, right, and center, but like, I don't know. I wasn't around at that time. I can only tell you what I was like now. Can I get a spicy beaver burger? All right, what's this fucking show? Who's that?